Hi, welcome to My Favorite Mistake. I'm your host, Mark Graven. Our guest today is Nancy Ho. She is joining us from Singapore. She's a distinguished life strategist, clarity messenger, and state of mind specialist, as she describes herself, with more than 26 years of experience guiding individuals toward holistic success. So, throughout her illustrious career, Nancy has worked with and empowered over 10,000 clients, including C suite executives, mid level managers, and business owners, to help navigate the balance between professional achievement and personal fulfillment. So we'll talk about those topics in the episode today. Nancy is co-author of the book Success Redefined with Jack Canfield. So Nancy, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. My honor to be on this podcast. I'm very well.
Well, great. A lot of things that we're going to talk about later in the episode about work-life balance and struggles that successful professionals often need to work through. But first, I'm really curious to hear from your career, Nancy. What would you say is your favorite mistake?
Oh, my favorite mistake. Kind of big time. That mistake cost me 300,000
Oh,
in just 5 months.
wow. Well, yeah, I'm glad you can laugh about it now.
So now you see what I mean by favorite, right? I mean, really,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got our attention.
Yes.
What
And
happened?
yes, what happened, in fact, it was a venture that went in, was kind of like my lifetime dream.
Hmm.
Yes. So think about, it's a lifetime dream and then it just fall flat. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It fell flat. It's not just only the money thing. It's really the dream that I wanted it, I wanted it so much. And then it just, went into pieces, like blew in my face.
So,
So, mhm.
so what was that dream?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm never into or interested in any F&B business, although I am hotel trained.
Hmm.
So since I'm hotel trained, so I know how hard work it is.
Hmm.
How hard it is. And unlike like somebody maybe like, oh, they frequently go to restaurants or bars or whatever and they say, oh, chill, But so I knew from the
Yeah.
beginning of being in Switzerland, I'm talking about where I was only 19 years old. So I went through the tough training, so I know how bad it was. So what happened was this. I'm a wine and dine person.
Hmm.
All right, anywhere I go, and I'm a city person. Yeah. And there isn't really any place that I'm totally satisfied.
Hmm.
Yeah, regardless, right? Either something is just missing, right? Some piece just missing. And like I said, I'm not interested in going to into F&B business, but I wanted a place like a sanctuary. Like I said, since I'm a wine and dine person, so I want a place that which I already often do that, which I usually, in fact, 60 to 70% of the time I actually go out alone,
Hmm.
dine alone, and I enjoy it. Not that I dislike company, yeah. So I enjoy it, I hang out there, but there's always something missing, like I said. So I want
Hmm.
a sanctuary, a place that you can be by yourself. You can have somebody with you, but not a family restaurant kind of thing. But
Hmm.
nice ambience, a nice setup, good food, good wine, blah blah blah. So make a long story short, that opportunity came. It was just about like 3 minutes away from my office.
Hmm.
So how ideal is that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, how ideal, right? If something goes wrong and I just can hop over. And I
Uh-huh.
was and I'm not interested, like I said, to take over a place. It was an empty space for me to like dip my creation.
Hmm.
Yeah, I even had this long more than six, I can't remember how long, maybe 8 footer aquarium when you enter. Yeah. So
Hmm.
the whole ambience was really like a sanctuary, right? You walked
Yeah.
in and you feel so good. So the biggest mistake was I was overly positive.
Hmm.
There were a lot of red flags that I did not see, or
Um,
what, like a horse wearing blinkers,
yeah. Yeah.
after the
Red flags that you didn't see or didn't want to acknowledge. Was it a little bit of both?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, on the high side, I said, "Oh, there were the red flags," but at that moment, it's kind of like I can work through it. Being positive.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Being
Yeah.
so positive. That's why I always said, positive is great, but don't be overly positive. I
Yeah.
learned from that, right? So,
Yeah.
so it was like, oh, on the high side, I said, yeah, those were red flags. But at the time, it was like, nah, I can work through it, right? Everything
Yeah.
comes with challenges, so no big deal. That was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Oh no.
And anything that may not go wrong also went wrong.
Hmm.
Wow, it was that sort of like 5 months of torture. I mean, mental torture, if anything else. Yeah.
So what were some of the biggest problems, and which of those could have been avoided? Or if you saw red flags, was there any opportunity to back out of the plan, or did you have to go forward with it?
First mistake.
Yeah.
Or first thing that anybody should look into when they go into a mistake. That's from my lessons, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. Scrutinize your partners.
Hmm. Yeah.
All right. I already felt like, oh, okay, A and B, and I was the C that went it. Okay. So the person was there from the start, and then B joined, and then I came in.
Hmm.
So I was in charge, so called, it was my show, right? Nobody could interfere with my show. That sounds good, right?
Mm.
Upstairs, all right? There was a downstairs, a place, there was a pub kind of thing. So it looks like it was a thriving business. So how ideal is that to already go in with a thriving business downstairs? I don't want to care, but then I'm the partner, so I get a share, right? And
Hmm.
then upstairs is my free play.
Ah.
Do what I want. Wow, that is so exciting, right?
Hmm.
It's not even like they have any say about it, right? So long I run it and I make sure I'm responsible for the P&L, and that's it. And I
Hmm.
love challenges like that,
Yeah.
right? So the partners were wrong. They were fighting. I didn't know they were fighting.
Mm.
I didn't know they have a lot of differences. I did not know they had money issues.
Hmm.
Ah. Ah,
Yeah.
how silly, I didn't know, right? It's only like a few
Yeah.
months into it, like, hey, what happened? Let's look into accounts, right? And then there were the fine line that I did not see.
Yeah. So it looked like a thriving business, but that was not. No.
No, no.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
on the surface, it looks like every night was packed downstairs. And then very quickly, when it was running, I call it the wine loft. Yeah. So when I
Hmm.
was running it, very quickly, I've got magazines that came to write for me. I have the British Council ladies, women's chapter. They said just give them some discount and they will come. It
Hmm.
was all great. I was like all over the place, like, wow, within a short time.
Yeah.
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 So everything looks good. I mean, I did well. Sure, like any business, you take time to take off, right?
Right.
So I was taking off very well, like like the plane going on the runway. But before I could take off, it got shot down. Money issue was one.
Yeah.
I said the partners.
For the business downstairs.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Then came there were other fine lines that I didn't read about what I can do and cannot do upstairs.
Mm.
Ah,
So you weren't able to execute that vision that you had for this wine bar, this wine loft.
I did for 5 months.
What got in the way? Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
for 5 months, which seriously, I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah.
But the one thing people loved, some people, maybe many people, I could have done it. I should have done it. I can do it even better, right?
Hmm.
And then years down the road, and then I don't like the fact that somebody questioned you, would think you could, you should, and all that. Then why didn't you?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm
Right.
glad I still did it. I did it
Hmm.
because when I finished the whole place, it was like I say, it's an empty space, and I
Hmm.
did it a very Spanish looking like, and the whole look and feel, and
Yeah.
even people that did not drink loves the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was not like a wild drinking place. It was,
Right.
you
Right.
know, it was,
Relaxing and
yes, correct. Like I said, a sanctuary, right? So it was
yeah.
really great, and I had like whether people were alone, male or female, by themselves,
Hmm. Hmm.
couples or with some
Yeah.
friends. It was like a lovely, lovely. So I'm still
Yeah.
glad that I did it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then after the 5 months, Was it forced to close down because of the problems with the business downstairs?
No,
Is that how it turned out? Or
no. I choose to cut loss.
okay.
I choose that because I could still like again be positive and fight and but when I saw those fine lines, okay, I
Mhm.
really think that I'm gonna bleed for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Don't fight it, and that's one thing that people should know when to walk away.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no regrets about walking away
No,
from it then.
no, not at all, not at all. I choose to walk away. It's not as if like they threw me out, kind of stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
choose to walk away, even though it's 300,000,
Mm.
into it. But the courage to walk away,
Yeah.
that makes me stronger.
Hmm.
That makes me just a little smarter, maybe.
Yeah.
Because after that, right, I was looking at. I said, if I go and even try and prolong to a year, I would
Hmm.
have bled like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, are you still searching for that place
No, no, done it.
for you to hang out, or have you found a place now that meets
Like
that
like I
needs?
said, I knew what kind of hard work it takes to run a F&B. All right,
Mm.
I knew it from the beginning. I knew it at 19 years old.
Yeah.
But of course, having that dream, having a sanctuary and all that, okay, was great. But would I do it again? No. Why no? Because what it takes.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
it takes. It's not just about the return, not just about the profit, but really the time, the effort, and you weigh that. Uh,
Hmm.
More importantly, it's not accordance to my life purpose.
Hmm. Mm.
Yes, right. It
Yeah.
doesn't align to my life purpose. Yeah, a side hobby,
Yeah.
but then that hobby, I realized in the 5 months cannot be a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, there's a show that's very popular in the United States anyway called Bar Rescue. I don't know if you've in your
Yes.
travels or
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
heard about the show. And there's a theme. It seems like a lot of people end up in trouble because they thought owning a bar would be fun,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a lot of work.
No, it's a lot of work.
It's
But I
not easy to
knew, yeah, I knew it's not going to be fun. I knew that. That's
do.
like I said, because I've been in a hotel school, right? But it's
Right.
like having that dream, it was great. So I went in because of that dream. But
Yeah.
then, of course, after going in there, like I said, the effort, the time, all that it takes is not fun thing. It's not a hobby thing. It's
Yeah.
more than a full time thing, and more importantly, it's not like I said early on. It's not aligned to my life purpose.
Yeah.
So I just have to still make do with some minuses in places that I go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to make do with that.
Right. And I imagine an experience like that can help you serve and coach others. I mean,
Oh
having
yes.
having gone through business struggle, I don't think anyone expects that we would find a business coach who's never had a problem or
Mm,
never had made a mistake. How could you relate to somebody like that, right?
sure. I mean, first thing first, right? Like I said, don't be overly positive. First lesson.
Hmm.
It's great to be positive, but don't be overly positive. And it's good. It's great to have courage. It's great to like be gung ho. But first, really do your due diligence.
Right. Right.
I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
due diligence, serious, right?
Yeah.
And third, probably third, I should put as first, really, the certain gut feel.
Hmm.
There was already a gut feel, but these two partners, remember I told you the A and the
Right.
B, there was something like, but it's okay because they're not going to interfere with me. I'm
Mm.
upstairs, right? Let them do what they want downstairs. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I just totally disrespect my inner
Mm.
thing.
Disrespect your what? I'm sorry, that
Inner
didn't
thing.
come
I
through.
call it inner ding, my sixth sense, my gut
Ah,
feel. I
okay.
call it the inner ding,
Yeah.
the inner thing that tells you, and that's so precious. But a lot of us choose not to hear it. We
Hmm.
choose to go and analyze. We think we are smart. Or
Yeah.
rather, I think I was so smart to analyze and put things together. But the inner, gut feel, sixth sense,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
trust that, respect that. It got a
Yeah.
lot to do with that. So this becomes some of the things that I coach my clients as well when
Yeah.
they say they want to go whether into a business, even whether they're going to a job.
Hmm.
It's not only
Yeah.
just business, even into a job.
Mhm.
And of course, like I said earlier on, what is your life purpose?
Right.
The
Right.
most important. So,
Yeah.
like I said, even to a lot of, like, even have C-suite, and they're being headhunted, and they go, somewhere else and all that. So often I said that it's not a job, it's a job match,
Right.
it's a fit.
Hmm.
It's not about the big package and the title, the power. All that are important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it is nothing. But if
Yeah.
the match is not there, gee, forget about work-life balance, the stress and the burnout and all that, and you do not feel fulfilled.
Right.
That's where all this comes on.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it seems like your three lessons would be helpful, I think, as you're saying, not just for an entrepreneur, but for somebody considering a job at a company.
sure. Yeah,
You want to
yeah,
be positive about a job or a company, whether you're joining a startup or a big established
correct,
company. Don't be overly positive. Like
correct.
those
Where it
core
is.
lessons
Yeah.
apply.
Just like I had somebody that asked me, he said, "Oh, I'm going to join a startup. You know what's a startup like, right? Then after that, they're going to go public, the
Mm,
shares." Oh, yes. I said, do your due diligence and see the percentage of startup
mhm, mhm.
when he eventually went and
Right.
succeeded,
Yeah.
going public.
Right.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
again, one of those
Small
like
percentage. Yeah.
very small. We all know that.
Yeah.
But they're sold the dream.
Hmm.
Right, and often like my dream too, right? I saw it myself. Okay,
Yeah.
dream sometimes is just a dream.
Right. Right. And hopefully not a nightmare.
I know, really. I think one thing I realized, to know the word dream as as a noun
Hmm.
or as a verb.
Hmm.
Dream on. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the word hope as well, right? Hope as a verb. I hope to get it. Like, it's not
Right.
all that positive, right? But hope as a noun, right?
Yeah.
That hope,
Right.
yeah, is different. So one must know how to distinguish that too. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Nancy, when you talk about life purpose, and I'm sure you seem well connected to yours, and I bet you could articulate it well. How do you describe, excuse me, how do you describe your life purpose?
Right.
How do you help others articulate theirs? So, I mean,
Okay.
first to you, what's yours?
Okay. My life purpose. Okay. My life purpose is to serve with truth and love.
Mm,
All right. To help others to live their life purposefully and meaningfully.
mm,
That's my life purpose.
yeah,
All right. So
that's
running
great.
a F&B doesn't quite align, right?
Right.
Right? You can't, I mean, so first thing is being truthful. All right.
Hmm.
First thing so how do I help someone to write a life purpose? Values. So my two values, the first one is truthfulness, and second is love.
Hmm.
Right? So life purpose is not just about, dream big, dream big and whatever you want, you it be possible you could get it. But first, it got to come from values.
Sure.
Because when it comes from values, like, I'm not working every day,
Yeah.
I'm not working at all right? It's just something I want to do, I
Yeah.
choose to do.
Right.
All right, and that's to assist others to live their life purposefully and meaningfully. Then
Hmm.
we got to choose the activity that we can display, we can use our values.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it articulating one's life purpose is not just what do you want to achieve, but
No,
why,
correct, the
and
why.
then what do you need to do to be in
Correct,
alignment
correct. Just like
with
even a singer, right? We have seen singers and singers,
that. Yeah.
right? The singers that, let's say, they are using their this activity of singing, I call it activity of singing,
Hmm.
is aligned with their life purpose. Wow, they excel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it's just merely for, let's say, power, money,
Yeah.
well, not that they're not going to succeed, but then there will be other consequences they would have to face.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
their goal is, yeah, I want to be rich and famous,
yeah,
well,
yeah. They can get
that's a
famous at a
goal.
price. At a
Yeah.
price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that doesn't sound as much like a purpose.
Correct. Correct.
Um, my this is gonna sound like a weird detour in the conversation, but I don't know if you're familiar with the movie's 45 years old now, the Muppet movie.
Of course. I'm
So
60 years old.
my wife and I, so
Yes.
it was playing in theaters this
Uh-huh.
weekend, big, big screen, 45th anniversary, and I hadn't seen the movie in a while, and there's a scene where Kermit is playing the banjo in the
Right.
swamp, and I think he's just enjoying playing the piano or the banjo and singing, and then he sort of gets discovered, and oh, you should go to Hollywood. There's auditions, and
Right.
but the way I remember Kermit framing it was kind of sweet, where it wasn't about what he wanted as Kermit the Frog, but he was like, the agent played by Dom
Mhm.
DeLuise tells him, you could make millions of people happy. And that sounded, and that was appealing to Kermit the Frog. Like,
Right.
oh, I don't know if I want to do this, but making millions of people happy would be really nice. That sounded more like Kermit's life purpose
Right. Yeah.
as a puppet frog.
Yeah, that aligns with that making, rather than the rich and famous kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And some
exactly.
people become rich and famous doing things that they love, serving others.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I see.
Yeah.
With the life purpose, as you said, the why,
Mm-hmm.
then you're really, coming from within.
Mm-hmm.
Then the how becomes really easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
But when there's no why, or the why is weak, all right,
Yeah.
or maybe a person doesn't know why. I often ask the question, right, with a lot of my clients, why do you do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because to provide for the family.
Well,
Yes, yes, of
that's good,
course.
but
First, I know you have responsibility, and they're not wrong, but it's all the obvious politically right answer,
right,
right?
right.
Some can't even answer that question, right? I study it, so I, enter into this field,
Mm-hmm.
and there I am. I'm stuck. I can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why why many people come to a certain age, they're unfulfilled.
Right.
Yeah, they may have the
And
title, they may have the wealth, or even the rich and famous kind of thing. Not necessarily rich and famous, but they're satisfied in the sense of the material uh, aspects of it,
yeah.
but within they feel the void.
Right.
Yeah.
And and so I mean, I think it seems like the one category or the one area where you help people is what you call the professional paradox. So I was
Yes.
wondering if you could explain that phrase. I think I'm getting a sense of it, but I'd love to hear you describe what that is and what happens when people are facing, kind of a point of challenge in their career and life.
Right. You see, like again, often we measure success most times, right? In terms of like our achievement,
Mm-hmm.
right? We climb the corporate ladder, or as an entrepreneur, right? We see, who even like who we serve, all right, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But all that's being done, but the person don't not actually feel joy within.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they may be so stressed out, burnout, the pressure to keep up, right? And they fall sick, and they have relationship problems at home,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or relationship problem in the workplace, whatever, right? So it's like, it's just disturbed. The person is mentally disturbed in
Mm-hmm.
spite of all this achievement. So hence, I focus on the paradox of success.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, you know, the fact that we are successful, therefore we will have these problems.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm not referring to. But there are people out there that can be very successful, have all the achievements, and yet the opposite, right? They faced unfulfillment, stress. If they even a childhood trauma may surface because in the subconscious it triggered,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
relationship problems and health issues and so on and so forth. So my approach is right. reverse engineer,
Mm.
hopefully, right?
Uh-huh.
Not yeah, the person is not in suffering from all this,
Right.
or if they are, then how do you deal with them?
Right.
Yeah, rather than like accepting it like it's part and parcel of life.
Hmm.
You want this, you got to suck up with that, that sort of thing. You just have to swallow it and all that. I don't think so.
Right.
Just like we often talk about work-life balance, right? Work-life balance to me is an expression.
Hmm.
It's not work-life balance. It's work-life integration.
Yes, I've heard that phrase a lot in recent years.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I still talk about work-life balance in the sense of expression, but
Right.
true to the fact is the integration.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if you do know how to integrate work and your personal life, whether the me personal life, the me time personal life, the
Hmm.
personal life as with the family, all right, or other hobbies and stuff like that, right? If you integrate well and you manage the, say, the stress,
Hmm.
okay, then there's no stress.
Yeah.
Okay, what is stress? All right. Stress
Hmm.
often you think is the workload, right? The pressure to perform.
Sure. That's one type of stress.
Yeah, one type of stress. I won't deny that. But
Hmm.
I like to look at stress more so psychologically are the incomplete task.
Hmm.
The incomplete task stresses.
Yeah.
What's not done, what's not being done. That gets the better of us.
Hmm.
So when we are stressed, what it actually happens, in our brain, it's biology, all right? Our brain produces chemical.
Mm.
Feel good, good chemical. Feel bad, bad chemical.
Hmm.
That's it. So
Yeah.
feel bad is cortisol.
Hmm.
So when the brain produces cortisol, then it may affect our bodily system. We may get acid reflux, right? Some people have eczema, hypertension, what have you, right?
Hmm.
So this
Right.
cortisol do its thing on us.
Yeah.
So how I help the client again, instead of allowing the brain to produce cortisol, how do you allow the brain to produce dopamine,
Hmm.
serotonin, all right,
Right. Serotonin. Yeah.
oxytocin, yeah, all of that,
Yeah.
right? So when you have good chemicals, then you feel good naturally, and
Hmm.
that's what I mean by no stress. As like whatever we need to deal with, we just deal with it.
Yeah. So when you talk about the stress from incomplete tasks, I have so many
Yes,
incomplete tasks or things I need to do, could do, want to do in my head or written down on lists. Um, how to resolve that tension. I mean,
yes,
sometimes do you need to say, okay, look, these things, here's a list of things that I could do, but I'm not going to do them, at least right now. Do you try to flip some of those tasks from incomplete to a form of complete? Or what are some other strategies to try to prevent that mental,
right.
that burden of, I have all these things to do. And it makes it hard to focus on the one I'm doing right now, not
Yeah, I
this
get that.
interview, but,
Yeah. And
other
then you
times.
see, psychologically, especially subconsciously, it really does not know whether it is a big task or a small task.
Hmm.
It's just incomplete, it bugs us. Incomplete, it bugs us. That's it. Okay. So, for example, I'm very particular about my garden,
Mm.
and I'm always potting, repotting, and all. Not that I do it, I supervise my helper to
Yeah.
do it, right? But then I'll go like, okay, I got to repot that one. Nearly every day, I scrutinize my garden. I would take a moment to look at the trees, look at the plant, what need to be done, right? But of course, I can't do it there and then at one time.
Hmm.
It takes time, right? So, in order not to be stressed, I then have in this context, right? Set a deadline when
Hmm.
I'm going to do it, right? So it's kind of
Yeah.
like close the loop.
Right.
Although it's not done, but at least I said, okay, let's say Saturday afternoon. Of course, I have to look at my schedule. Okay, Saturday
Hmm.
afternoon, I can do that. Or some tasks we know that it cannot be completed within a day,
Hmm.
right? Let's say project management, right? So it's ongoing for a period.
Right.
So then you decide what can you do, right?
Hmm.
A, B for today. Close the
Right.
loop. Yes.
Yeah. Like writing a book is the type of project that,
Sure.
like, when I did my last book and I have a book coach reminding me, you
Mhm.
break the big project down into small tasks. You can't write a book in a day, but you can write 1,000 words. You
Right.
could, you can do
Correct.
one piece of it. And
Correct.
then I think, you feel good. Well, there's a subtask that I've
Correct.
completed. I
Correct.
feel
Yes.
better instead of worrying about the big
Exactly.
project. The book is not done. Well, of course not.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So correct. It's like you close the loop by saying, okay, 500 words, 1,000 words, right? Done. So at
Mhm.
least psychologically completed for that what you decide to do.
And I bet that gives you a dopamine burst.
Yes, it does because like yes, I did it.
Checking it off the
Yes,
list, I think
correct,
literally does that, right?
correct, correct.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so some things are like short term, some are mid term, some things could be long term. All right. So what can you do about that part of the long term thing?
Yeah.
What that even that small part, like I said again, subconscious does not know, but
Hmm.
once it's check, you feel good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you go
Right.
to sleep, check, therefore no stress.
Or maybe less stress and we keep working on it, right?
No,
Yeah.
the kind of stress is like that bugs us. I'm talking that stress that disturb us, and we feel so disturbed, we feel so the unease. That's where insomnia comes in.
Mm.
And we know when you do not sleep well, we feel cranky the next morning, and then again, so the vicious cycle, I'll call it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but you
Yeah.
feel good, you go to sleep. I've done it. Okay, tomorrow, whatever, just deal with it. How else, right? It's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I guess today, Nancy Ho, wanted to ask one other question. There's a video on your website, one portion in particular that resonated with me. You talked about how to unravel the root issue of,
Ah,
professional struggles. So to me, as an engineer and working in improvement and problem solving, trying to get to the root cause
mm,
is so important, because otherwise you might be addressing symptoms
correct.
of a problem. It seems like you try to take a similar approach of not just giving the same advice to every person, but really understanding the root
Correct.
of it. Could you
Correct.
tell us more about that?
Sure. Now you see that, like I said, you don't want to you don't want to fix the symptoms because no, it's not fixed.
Yeah.
It's not fixed at all, right? It's not at all, and it's not even giving people advice at all.
Yeah.
Actually, the one thing I do is to people have to realize. Then the shift happens. It's not about I tell you, you take my instruction, you go do the job. We are all adults. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially in the workplace, right? Even
Right.
as a leader. Even as a leader, I mean, you give instruction and then your people will just do what you tell them to do. No, no, no. They'll do what they think they
Mhm.
want to do. All right. Okay. Again,
Right.
right? Everybody thinks differently. So in any case, right, the root cause,
Mhm.
say example, let me take okay. Somebody has this fear of making mistakes. Since
Mm.
we're talking about mistakes, all right, this fear of making mistake. You could even call it fear of failure.
Mhm.
And we know in our adult world, people fail, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
how many times? Uh, the bulb, right? Thomson
Mhm.
Edison, Thomas Edison, right? A
Yeah.
thousand
Right.
times, right? So we heard of the stories, but yet,
Mhm.
yet there are a lot of people with this fear of making mistake or fear of failures.
Yeah.
So I would help them to find out the root cause.
Mhm.
What caused that feelings? And by
Right.
the way, all of our feelings are created by our thoughts.
Mhm.
It is not coming from what we see from the outside.
Mm.
So let's say, oh, I'm fear of making mistakes. The CEO will be, down my neck. It has the
Mhm.
appearance that way, but the more you fear, the more you're going to make the mistake. Just get it right.
Oh, right.
Just get
Right.
it as right as possible, right? So that's a root cause. So I would help them to take them back, so called to their
Yeah.
childhood usually.
Mm.
And one does not have to come from violent or something really bad. It's not because
Mhm.
before the age of 7, usually our brain has not been developed to analyze.
Right.
So it's kind of like a sponge, right? It takes in that certain idea, because as a child we don't know how to analyze. We just take it in like, oh. So it's just like, dormant. But then, nothing triggered, that's fine. When something triggered, then we feel that feeling. But
Hmm.
that thought is in the memory. So
Right.
we don't even know, or we can call it in the subconscious, and then we think it's the boss, we think it's the president, we think it's, CEO, whoever, but it isn't. Okay, fear of public speaking. I mean, I often tell people, right, what do you talk about? You talk about topics you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't talk
Right.
about topics you
Right.
don't know. So why is that fear? Right? So
Yeah.
again, it's trigger. I had this medical doctor, brilliant medical doctor. He lectures. So he lectures has no problem. No
Hmm.
problem. Right? We student had no problem. But get him to go on a stage,
Mm.
right? Wow. He drenched. He was sweat in front of everybody. And the trigger is when people that are more senior than him.
Ah,
Yes.
as opposed to talking to students. Yeah.
Yes, of course. All right. No issue, right? Student, he knows them. But someone very senior, or senior, let's call it someone senior. And what it was he needed approval from his father.
Oh.
Yeah. So someone
Hmm.
senior, right? Subconsciously
Reminded him.
authority, yes,
Yeah.
father or dad. So,
Yeah.
so, oh my God, whatever I say, is it going to be approved or not?
Yeah.
Oh, would you agree? Or you think that I'm stupid? Or I'm, so the fear of being judged to start with.
Sure.
So therefore,
Interesting.
yeah, the person can't even flow with the topic he obviously know, but he's
Hmm.
stuck with this, you know,
Mm.
what's going around in his mind, which doesn't even know what it is because it's so
Yeah.
subconscious. Yeah. So it's just that physiological response or reaction.
Hmm. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where, yeah, coaching individuals, not everybody has those same experiences or traumas or
Correct.
hangups
Correct.
or
Correct.
triggers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Very.
important once we know the root cause, because we are not a child anymore. When we expose it, I would say 60, 70, 80%, depending on the person, all right, it's kind of like done. We can throw out the
Yeah.
window because it's not real, right? It's so you realize that's not daddy.
Yeah.
Right? That's not daddy. Okay. Once you expose that, 60 to 80%, it's called like healed. I'll call it healed.
Yeah.
Then the rest of it, of course, we work through with strategies. We work through with certain call it resilience, call it
Hmm.
reframing, how we reframe our thought patterns and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very, very interesting. So, Nancy, thank you for sharing your favorite mistake story. Thank you for sharing
Thank
a
you.
lot of your insights and your approaches here. I know you've got a copy of it there, so
Oh,
hold
yes.
up the book for
Sure,
those who are
sure, sure.
watching
Yes.
on YouTube. The book is Success Redefined with
Mhm.
Jack Canfield, Nancy Ho, and it says and other professionals from around the world. So
Yes.
there's other people's stories and
Yes.
insights in there, I'm sure, as well.
Yeah.
The
You
Jack
can get that in
Canfield
Amazon.
series does that. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You can get that in Amazon. The book
Yes.
is available.
So I'll make sure there are links in the
Mm.
show notes and links to how you can learn more about Nancy and
Thank
her
you.
work. I imagine maybe in this digital age, you work with clients who are not just in
Yes.
Singapore, but
Yes.
all over. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I work with uh, every Wednesday. My mornings are devoted to a few of the clients in USA.
Hmm.
Yeah, the time zone. All right. I
Yeah.
have clients in Europe, in US, in
Hmm.
other parts of the world. Yes, I work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I work there.
Yeah. Well, again, we've been joined by Nancy Ho. Nancy, really enjoyed the conversation here today. Thanks for taking time out of your evening, and I'm glad we could manage the time zones.
Right.
Not for coaching this time, but for the podcast. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, indeed. Thank you. Thank you.